Your little girl, man, you watching her grow up into becoming a young lady. Oh, it just makes me want to go to the gun range all the more. So, say la vie. But let's go ahead and let's get into the show tonight. We are going to talk about Kamala Harris just a little
And
bit.
welcome. We are live from
And
Chestertown, Pennsylvania.
before we do that, I just want to say, hey, we are getting very close to the election. Um, for those of you who are able to vote, whether you think your vote matters or not, just go vote for Donald Trump. That's all I'm saying. It has been, this is probably one of I haven't seen an election this wild before. These last two elections, I would say, because 2020 was pretty wild too. Um, I've never seen anything like this before. I think that this election, though, is really setting a new era for campaigning. I think the way that a lot of campaign strategies that were good were different than previous ones. I think that this is going to be one of those game changing elections. So the way that the campaigning and stuff went, especially from a podcast perspective versus mainstream media. Mainstream media is really, really, really starting to lose their gravitas, if you will. It is not nearly what it used to be. For somebody to be on a CNN, an NBC, a CBS, ABC, uh, MSNBC, Fox News, what that used to be, years ago, and well, not years ago, but several elections ago, since, you know, the dawn of time, I would imagine, and what it is now. Yeah. And it's a good thing. The fact that these major networks don't have the weight that they did before in previous elections, it is a good thing because the podcasts and the people that are tuning into those podcasts, they're showing that there is a true, what is the right phrase? I guess paradigm shift is probably the best description of it. It's shifting, and it's going to shift for the better because it's going to empower more real conversations. The biggest problem with this whole Harris Walz campaign has been their lack of authenticity and their word salad. And I am so glad to see that even though the diehard Democrats are still believing in that shit, they think it's perfectly fine. The middle or the independents and the majority of the right wingers, they are really starting to crave and get into authentic conversations with authentic people. The whole thing of what a politician is and what a politician used to be, it is changing. I believe that it has run its course as to the whole showmanship and style of a politician and just coming up saying whatever makes us feel good. I think we're moving past that because of the path that those type of people have led us down, which is where we are today. So I'm really excited, and I hope that a lot of that begins to trickle down into our local politics so that we can really start looking for not politicians, but businessmen and regular everyday people to run the country with common sense values. That's what I'm hoping for. That is my My prayer is that we move into that because at the end of the day, the United States of America, it is a business, and business minded people need to be looking out for the true um, benefit of our country first. Anything that goes on with our country, and that's why I support Make America Great Again. America first. Anything that we're involved in, there needs to be a direct benefit for our country that is clear and identifiable from the beginning, regardless of what it is, whether it's a war, conflict, settling conflict, resolving conflict. It needs to be something in it for us. And that is not a bad thing because it is like that everywhere else in the world. Now, do we have the ability to step up and step in and help countries and help people? Yes, but it should not occur before we've done that very thing for ourselves, for our own everyday red blooded Americans that are living here in our country. They need to benefit first before anyone else. And anyone who doesn't believe in that, you are delusional and you have no real grasp of what the real world is like today. Michael Brown says, I'm going to vote for Trump. As well, you should. As well, you should. Tell your friends. We have to get to a place to where we have to take care of ourselves before we take care of others, period. And we have to be very serious about that. And as cold as it may sound, I don't give a shit about any other country before ours. Now, after we straight, we good. Hey, if we can, I think we should. Absolutely. But before that, no. That's just like somebody asking you to take food out of your children's mouth and give it to someone else whom you don't know. How many people will do that? Not taking food out your mouth, but taking food out of your children's mouth. Before you feed your children, you go and feed someone else whom you don't even know and who doesn't even live where you live. That's the idea of what that is. My friends and family are all in for Trump, are all in for her, but I am all in for Trump. God bless you, man. It's kind of the same thing with my family. It's kind of the same thing. And my thing is, it's like this. The funny part about it is 2 years from now, 3 years from now, people are going to act like this shit didn't happen. And that's what's going to be the thing that I'm not that motherfucker. I'm going to be the same one saying, see, this is why your ass should have done this. You should have voted for Trump. He says, Brian, I love the show. Texas native already early voted. There we go. Donald J. Trump, Second Amendment, straight up. Love United Guns of America, relationship rehab. Let's go. Thank you. Easy Living 93. It's like we have to realize that, this whole thing about the candidate, oh, he said this and he said that. Yep, I hear you. Is Trump perfect? No, he's a fucking person. I think we've had enough as a country of the smooth, savvy, savoir faire type of, that's old school, that old school cartoon character. Savoir faire is everywhere. Smooth, savvy politician that has the good look. You don't really know too much about him. Seems real perfect. I'm tired of that person. I'm tired of that person because that is the very person that goes behind closed doors and fucks us all over as a country and as a group of people, depending on who you are. Those are the ones that have the price tag. Those are the ones that will sell you out. And those are the ones that do not put country first. They put their interests first. If I'm a first time congressman, first time senator, whatever, I'm putting my own self first. Then I'm putting my country second. Because what? I want to ride the gravy train. And I think that's what the problem is. Will you always have people like that? Yes. Which is why we need less government interference. That's why we need less government interference, because the people that are doing their bullshit will have a less impact on us financially, policy wise, bills, so on and so forth. That's just like people, they said on when I was watching the Kamala Harris interview on Club Shay Shay, and it was terrible. But she told them he wants to get rid of the board of education. He wants to tear down the board of education. And the thing is, people don't realize, like, yes, we should. Here's how you hear something and then you don't think it through. So the whole idea about the people who said this, Vivek Ramaswamy, he actually explained it the best. And then once he explained it, I agreed. What he wants to do is he wants to do away, you end the Board of Education. You take the money from the budget that the Board of Education uses, the federal budget, the federal funds, and you take that money and you give it to the states. You look up and see what the budget is for the Board of Education that is carved out every year for taxpayers. And you send that money to the states instead of having some fucking federal bureaucracy, that you're paying for payroll, that you're paying for insurance, that you're paying for them to give you all this red tape, and then they disperse these little pockets of money to whoever and it trickles down. Fuck that. If I can take $100 million, well, let's just say it's $1 billion. Take $1 billion and disperse that $1 billion directly to the school districts, directly to the states, and they disperse it to the school districts. You know what that does? Number one, it allows you and your local politicians, you all will vote on what happens to those funds as a state. It's $90 billion. God damn. I said one. It's $90 fucking billion. You tell me, have you seen, and we're talking about, this is federally funded board of education, your free school. You tell me where you've seen your $90 billion. You tell me when you've seen that $90 billion. You haven't seen it. You've seen maybe a few million. Each child you have enrolled gets $32,000 to the school. Man, damn that. Give me that 90 and break it up. Do you realize you could take, just look, listen, hear this. $90 billion. How many states do we have? How many states do we have? Right? 52 states. You could instantly give every state $1 billion, and you would still have what? Another 38 million? Another 38 billion to split up amongst the bigger states with the bigger school districts. But you can say, hey, every state is getting an additional $1 billion. You tell me what state couldn't use $1 billion for their education, their school districts. You split that up amongst the school districts and say, hey, these funds are added to you. Let's just say we just cut the budget. Let's do all total government spending. let's say we cut that 90 billion, we cut it down to 60. You take $1 billion to every state, and then hey, you use the other that little change that's left over, because it's what, $8 billion. You use that for infrastructure for schools. Do you see how much spending we have that we don't know about, and what we could do if we cut out a lot of the bureaucracy and just said, hey, go right to the school districts. So your public schools that barely got enough money to fucking operate and to function, you use that federally funded money for your infrastructure. That means making sure your doors and windows and shit are fixed. School need a fucking furnace, HVAC. School, you need fucking working doors and shit. It goes to the schools. Just give you an example of what that actually looks like when you take the bureaucracy out of the game. But when you got somebody running the board, somebody running the Board of Education on the federal level, who's in charge, you got all of the staff that it takes to run it, and then that's just all of that shit encompassing. If you just did away with that, you're talking about $90 billion. And you could take 60 or 70 billion of that and put it towards a school, and take that other 20 billion and, hey, I don't know, maybe give it back to the taxpayers. Because you do realize that budget that we pay from the federal government, you do realize that we're now paying taxes as homeowners living in our school districts. I know I do. Just saying. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into the show. I am going to fire up this here, and we're going to get it started.
Kamala Harris, I'm Anderson Cooper. Now, in this room, we have assembled a group of 32 Pennsylvania voters who say they are still undecided or persuadable. All of them are registered to vote. Some cast votes for Joe Biden in 2020, yep. Others for Donald Trump. Some didn't vote at all, and for some, this is their first election. Many are leaning right now to one candidate or another, but they all say they have yet to make their final choice. Now, we found these voters working with a nonpartisan research firm, as well as business and religious groups, universities, and other civic organizations. These voters are asking their own questions tonight, selected by CNN to cover a variety of topics. You may see them holding a piece of paper when they're asking their question. It has their question on it. That is a question they have come up with. It has not been edited in any way by CNN. We also invited former President Donald Trump to participate in a town hall or a debate. He declined. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I wouldn't have went on that shit either. But it is what it is. So he said, Trump running for and becoming president showed me how many dumb people I know. I don't understand that when you look at this person walking out on the stage right now, but whatever. Show me how many dumb people. I don't know. I guess I need a little clarity on that, but that's fine. Let's go.
Vice President, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks. You have a mic right here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Thanks so much for being with us. We're going to get to the audience in just a second. I want to start by asking you, though, for weeks you have been calling Donald Trump unstable, unhinged. You've called him dangerous. You've quoted General Milley recently, who called him a fascist. Today, you quoted General Kelly, who said that Trump repeatedly praised Hitler. Yeah. But there are tens of millions of Americans right now who have heard all those things, and they don't buy it, or even if they do, they're still going to vote for Donald Trump. He's arguably more popular now than ever. You have 13 days to go. What do you say to those voters to convince them? Because some of them are in this room.
Sure, and I thank you all for taking the time to be here.
Now, what I'm definitely going to do here, like this particular question was asked about Donald Trump, so I ain't going to trip. I'm going to let her have this one. But I'm going to show you how many times she brings up Donald Trump to questions that are not directly related to him. How she's going to blame everything and bring him in first and everything else that happens. And I bet, I can't remember because it's been a while since I watched this. I bet at some point she says the phrase, well, I come from a middle-class family. I'm just saying, can't place your bets to see if she's going to do it or not, but we'll see. But the biggest thing that I want to point out here is this is her, mind you, this is her in a town hall, and she is trying to convince middle of the road people. That means people who are undecided. That's what the goal is. Let's see how she carries herself and what she actually talks about.
And you could be doing a number of other things with your time. So this really is proof that we love our country. People are engaged, Anderson, and really want to talk about the issues. And so the issue that you raise, yes, I do believe that Donald Trump is unstable, increasingly unstable, and unfit to serve. And I don't necessarily think that everyone has heard what you and I have heard repeatedly, which is the people who know Donald Trump best, the people who worked with him in the White House, in the Situation Room, in the Oval Office, all Republicans, by the way, who served in his administration, his former chief of staff, his national security advisor, former secretaries of defense, and his vice president have all called him unfit and dangerous.
Now, I'm not saying that if that's what they believe, that's what you believe. But mind you, all of these people were people that he picked once he was in office. These ain't people that's been around him, that came up through it. These were people that he thought were good people to do the job, because you do realize how many positions that the president has to hire in a pretty fairly short window of time. It's something, I want to say he said it's 10,000 positions, but it's like 100 positions that will then that will then hire the 10,000. So just think, you got 100 people that you need to hire and select and put in position, yourself as the president. And those people will then turn around and hire a grand total of about 10,000 people. So just think about that. And this is somebody who, and not to say that he gets a pass for that, but he kind of screwed the pooch on this part, because he didn't know, which you only know what you only know what you don't know what you don't know. And this is your first time in office. Hey, you did the best you could either way. But now these people, for whatever reason, when they didn't get their way, or whenever they got found out or called out on their BS, they left and they did what most people do. Because I wish I knew the number. I want to say it was something like 49 or 60 something percent of Kamala Harris's, her initial staff when she came into office to today, all gone. All gone. So it's not an uncommon thing for people in office to lose people or people not to be hired. But all of those people that left her did not have glowing reviews about her. They said she was mean, she was a bitch, she complained, she didn't want to do any work, she wanted everything handed to her, she didn't like reading. What the fuck kind of shit is that? So I'm saying that to say, yes, there's going to be people who are going to come and go out of your administration. That just happens. But when you have a greater portion, a greater share of those people leaving, and none of them have anything good to say about you, it is what it is. That fucking general that they keep bringing up, Kelly, his statement has been debunked about how he's lied about the shit he said several times over. And they're just using the fact that he's a general and he said what he said. Fine.
They have said explicitly he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. They have said he should never again serve as president of the United States. We know that is why Mike Pence is not running with him again, why the job was empty. And then today we learned that John Kelly, a 4-star Marine general, who was his longest serving chief of staff, gave an interview recently in the last 2 weeks of this election talking about how dangerous Donald Trump is. And I think one has to think about, why would someone who served with him, who is not political, a 4-star Marine general, why is he telling the American people now? And frankly, I think of it as he's just putting out a 911 call to the American people. Understand what could happen if Donald Trump were back in the White House. And this
What would that be?
time, we must take very seriously those folks who knew him best and who were career people are not going to be there to hold him back. At least before, there were folks who we know what he would say, but they would restrain him. Imagine now Donald Trump in the Oval Office, in the Situation Room. He who has openly admired dictators, said he would be a dictator on day one. The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has said he is a fascist to the core. So I think that when the American people reflect, especially those who are undecided.
Now, we've all known, and this is the thing that politicians do. It's not even a thing about her specifically, but this is what politicians do. They hear something one time, and yes, they know it's out of context. But even after it gets debunked and they put it in the proper context, they keep saying it. The whole thing about I'm going to be a dictator on day one, it has been proven and shown what the context was, that he was joking, but let's just say he wasn't. And this is the problem that I have with just people, and more specifically, black folks, niggas. The whole idea of he's going to do away with the Constitution, democracy will be over and all of that. Do you all realize that, number one, and these are just two great points. Number one, if he were to want to do that, he couldn't, because of the way that the Constitution is written, and there are 3 branches of government purposely in position to ensure that that can never happen. The only way, hear this, the only way that there could ever be a president to take over the country and to truly become a dictator, because it can happen, but it has to be, he or she would have to literally have all 3 branches of government on their side, which in the history of the United States has never happened. Them all 3 branches, that means all of the top officials in the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch, they would all have to say, yeah, fuck the Constitution. We're going to go with this person all the way, and we're submitting and relinquishing all of our power to that person. Then that person would then have to also get all of the military branches, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, and the Army. They would all have to do it too. That's what would have to happen. So when you hear them say, dictator, he's a fascist, he wants to be like Putin, he wants to be like Hitler, he wants to do away with the Constitution and your rights. That's what it would take. Right, thank you, all that remains. I gotta post that. So he couldn't get the stimulus checks, but he could stop the Constitution. Right. He couldn't get us $2,500 for a stimulus check, but they're now saying that he could just do away with the Constitution and take over the whole fucking country. That is essentially what they are saying. And it's an insult to my intelligence for them to say that. And it's sad that there are people that even believe that that is fucking possible. Like, this is why shit like civics classes should be mandatory. Like, your ass can't graduate unless you get an A or a B in fucking civics. If your ass don't know how the country fucking works, if your ass don't know how government works, you shouldn't be allowed to pass and get a high school diploma. I'm sorry. Your ass should have to take civics in elementary school, and your ass should have to take it in high school, and you should have to pass a fucking test. And if you don't pass that test, your ass don't graduate. It's like to hear someone say things like that. He's gonna get rid of the Second Amendment. Y'all been trying to get rid of the Second Amendment for the longest damn time. As Billy Joel would say. It's stupid that these people will say anything because it sounds fearful. It sounds frightening. They're just trying to just make you so afraid that you will be desperate and vote anything.
On who you should listen to. Don't take my word for it. In fact, go online and listen to John Kelly, his voice.
His voice?
What?
Yeah, because John Kelly is like the fucking Bible. And anything John Kelly says is just the gospel. Right. John Kelly has no ulterior motives. John Kelly's not upset that he's not a part of the campaign of the administration anymore. Oh, no. He's a great person. Yeah, right. Seriously? It's like those are the kinds of things that are just beyond me as to why it's not beyond me. It's one of those things that make me question who you are, not just as a person or a politician, but it makes me question your character. If you're willing to exaggerate by such a large margin when you know what the truth is, and that's all you got, that's all you hanging on, then it lets me know what type of character you have.
He thinks of Donald Trump 2 weeks before the election, because I think we all know, to your point, Anderson, it is close, but there are undecided voters who clearly, by being here, have an open mind, want to talk in a way that is grounded in issues and fact. And when they hear these facts, I think it compels a lot of people to be concerned about the future of our country with Donald Trump at the lead.
You've quoted General Milley calling Donald Trump a fascist. You yourself have not used that word to describe him. Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And I think that she's a socialist. I just think that, because the things that she says and the things that she doesn't say, socialists want to redistribute wealth. They want to give you so much shit through the government that you become totally dependent on them. And I'm sorry, for a government that has not been fiscally responsible in my lifetime, the shit we've spent and wasted money on, there's no way possible that I would trust them to redistribute the wealth of this country from its people. No way possible. And it's only broke, ain't shit, don't work people who ain't never had shit that want this. Somebody who ain't never worked a goddamn hard day in their life. Yeah, you want to take some money from a billionaire and you want some of it just because that's the only right thing to do. Why he got all the money? Because he worked for it. Well, he ain't worked for it. He came for money. Well, his parents worked for it. Either way, whether they work for it, scheme, stole, whatever the case may be, capitalism works way better than socialism. That's all I got to say. And there's numbers in history that prove that. You want to be a socialist? Fine. Just don't do it here. It's very simple. Nobody's saying you can't be a socialist. Nobody's not saying you can't be a communist. You can. Just don't do it here. We like capitalism here. We like being capitalists here. So go be a socialist or a a socialist or a communist in another country. I don't give a shit which one you pick. Just don't pick this one. It's quite simple.
And I also believe that the people who know him best on this subject should be trusted.
How would Kelly know him best? You see how she says that? How would Kelly know him best? He doesn't fucking know him best. Lies. But that's what you say when you truly want to mislead people into believing a just flat out falsehood about someone else. You're just going to say that. And I get it. It is what it is.
Again, look at their careers. These are not people, with the exception, I think, of only Mike Pence. These were not politicians. These are career people who have served in the highest roles in national security, who have served as generals in our military, who are highly respected. Talking about the person who would be commander-in-chief, not to mention what we know and what they've told us about how he talks about the military, servicemen and
Yes,
women,
it is.
referring to them as suckers and losers.
That has also been debunked. That shit Biden tries to say, you're the sucker, you're the loser. He didn't even say it. But they made the shit up and blew it up, took it out of context and said, yeah, this is what he said. And there we have it. And they continue to say it. I mean, this is shit is like, this is years, this is a year or two old. This shit they're talking about. Clearly debunked. You can look it up. Don't take my word for it. Please don't. You can look it up and see exactly what he said. And you can hear him even say what he said. Where he cleared it up. And it's like, no, they just made it up. He lied. But I'm going to keep saying it.
How he demeans people who have taken an oath to sacrifice their life for our country. And I do believe, Anderson, that part of this is why, even just this week, I traveled this state and others with Liz Cheney, former Congress member who was a very high-ranking Republican. She has endorsed me. Her father, the former Vice President of the United States, Dick Cheney, is voting for me. Over 400 members.
Dick Cheney, like that's really a great name. And all it is that these people, and the majority of these people that have gotten on this bandwagon, they are truly the people that want to keep all the bullshit going. Whether if it's the backdoor deals, whether if it's the wars going, because so many people are eating off of being in these two wars, they want to keep the money train rolling. That's all it comes down to.
Of previous members of the administration, from Ronald Reagan to both Presidents Bush to Donald Trump, even, have endorsed my candidacy. And the reason why, among
Did she just say Donald Trump endorsed her candidacy? What?
them is a legitimate fear based on Donald Trump's words and actions that he will not obey an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. He himself has said he would terminate the Constitution of the United States and wants to earn.
And here's the thing. Again, did he do it the first term? Couldn't he have done it in the first term? You can't do it. It's just like how they fucking lied to everybody talking about, we're going to pay off everybody's student loans. Constitution. Okay. Supreme Court said, nah, you can't. Okay.
Earn your vote to stand again behind the seal of the President of the United States? No one standing behind the seal of the
The
President of the
seal.
United States of America should be in that position saying they want to terminate the Constitution of the United States.
This is Annalise Keene. She's from Philadelphia. She works as a fundraiser for Habitat for.
So there's her first, 3-4 minutes of just expounding on the handful of lies she had. Great. That's what you do. You got to make him look bad, all that good shit. That's fine. Let's go.
Humanity. She's registered with no party affiliation. She says she's a Democrat. She's leaning toward voting for you, but said she's yet to make her final decision in part because of the conflict in the Middle East. Annalise?
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Vice President.
Good evening.
My question is, as president, what would you do to ensure not another Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
What would you do to make sure that not another Palestinian dies due to bombs from U.S. taxpayers? Now, mind you, the reason why all of this shit has kicked off with Hamas and Israel is because we funded Iran, which funds Hamas, which kicked all this bullshit off, which her and Joe Biden agreed to do. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. They actually put in legislation and they chose to buy oil from them, and they gave them something like $250 billion to fund all of the war and all of the equipment and all of the arms that they got to kick that shit off with Hamas that occurred last year, October 7th. They did it. Now let's hear what she says.
So I will say, and I think this is to your point, far too many innocent Palestinian civilians have been killed.
We already know that. Why you got to say it? The reason why she's saying it is because she's about to go on the Great Space Coaster to another place. Watch.
It's unconscionable. And we are now at a place where with Sinwar's death, I do believe we have an opportunity to end this war, bring the hostages home, bring relief to the Palestinian people.
Do y'all understand the question? What would you do to ensure? Not, I believe we have an opportunity, and with that opportunity with such and such death, we have an opportunity. What would you do, bitch? That's all I'm asking you. But watch what she says.
And work toward a two-state solution where Israel and the Palestinians in equal measure have security, where the Palestinian people have dignity, self-determination, and the safety that they so rightly deserve.
What do you say to voters?
She said, what would you do? Did she say anything about what she would do? Did she say anything about what she would do? She said nothing.
Who are thinking about supporting a third-party candidate or staying on the couch, not voting at all because of this issue?
Listen, I am not going to.
Now, what she's talking about now with this issue shouldn't have shit to do with Donald Trump. So now we will be starting the Donald Trump ticker. All right. So first question, nothing about Trump. Congratulations. Good job. Now this question from Anderson, let's see.
Going to deny the strong feelings that people have. I don't know that anyone who has seen the images who would not have strong feelings about what has happened, much less those who have relatives who have died and been killed. And I know people and have talked with people. So I appreciate that. But I also do know that for many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not
Do you realize she just went from Palestinian deaths to groceries? The same people that care about the Palestinians that died. She's talked with many of them. That's what she just said. She just wrapped in and weaved in groceries and the price of groceries. Yeah, you know, Kamala, a lot of people dying in Palestine, girl. But what about these motherfucking groceries? That's essentially what this bitch is doing. Unbelievable.
Having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist.
There it is.
They also care about the president of the United States who I also do know that for many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist. They also care about the fact that we need practical, common sense solutions from a leader who is willing to work across the aisle on behalf of the American people and not themselves. They want a president who cares about a fundamental freedom to make decisions about your own body, understanding that we're not trying to change anyone's belief, but let's not have the government telling women what to do with their body.
I want you to meet Beth Sandberg. She's a realtor, a mom of 4.
She didn't say shit about Palestine, did she? And about what she would do. Went past all that shit, brought up abortion, gas, grocery prices. She talked about that shit, and she talked about being a leader, and she didn't say shit about what she would do if she's president, and when it comes to this Hamas thing. She said they have an opportunity, but they ain't did shit with it. There you go.
From Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania. She's a registered Democrat, says she's undecided because of concerns about anti-Semitism. Beth?
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
Beth.
you for remembering we need to bring the hostages home.
Of course.
The rise of anti-Semitism and violence from anti-Semitism has risen greatly on college campuses and on our city streets in the last year. How would you combat this growing trend and protect our young adults?
Thank you, Beth. You are right, and I will say that we have seen a rise in anti-Semitism. It is something that we have to be honest about and we have to deal with. As Attorney General, I actually published a hate crimes report on a regular basis, and anti-Semitism was among the highest forms of hate.
So the question is, how would you combat the rise in anti-Semitism? All right. I thought she was going to give her, I've prosecuted cartel members and all that kind of. I thought she was going to do that, but she didn't do that one yet. Okay. She hasn't done that, and she hasn't said anything about being middle class. So she's winning right now.
In our country, and this was before October 7. And we know what we've seen since. Part of what we've got to do is talk with people so that they understand what are the tropes, what are the roots of what we are seeing, so that we can actually have people be more understanding. We need to have laws in place that make those who would commit crimes on behalf of anti-Semitism and hate, that they pay a serious consequence. We need to have the deterrence so that doesn't happen. We need to ensure that college students are safe in their school and feel safe to be able to go to class. But I'm going to tell you what doesn't help. Again, I invite you to listen and go online to listen to John Kelly, the former chief of staff of Donald Trump.
There it is.
Who has told us, Donald Trump said, why aren't my generals like those of Hitler's? Like Hitler.
There you go.
Who has referred several times. We've heard the reports for years.
Do you believe Donald Trump is anti-Semitic?
I believe Donald Trump is a danger to the well-being and security of America.
Yeah.
He has said that he's counted himself as a
that was a straightforward question.
Do you believe
do you believe that he is anti-Semitic? Yes or fucking no? She couldn't even answer it. This woman has an affliction with answering direct questions with direct answers. I don't believe this bitch has ever just said yes or no in her entire life. Definitely not in this campaign. Hey, do you like French fries? I believe that potatoes have a right. And those potatoes should not only have a right, but they should be selected. And once they've been selected, they should have a choice and a say as to if they're julienne, or if they're sliced, or if they're cut like waffle fries. I believe that because we all want to be able to be potatoes, and we want potatoes to have dignity, and we want them to be treated with respect. I think that a potato should have a right to choose as to when and how it gets cooked. And the only reason why I'm able to say this is because I come from a middle class potato family. I know what it's like to be a potato. I had several potatoes in my life. That's how he fucking talks.
Pro-Israel than Donald Trump?
I believe that Donald Trump is dangerous. I believe that when you have a president of the United States who has said to his generals,
His
who
generals.
work for him because he
About to
is
say it
commander
again.
in chief. These conversations, I assume many of them took place in the Oval Office. And if the president of the United States, the commander in chief, is saying to his generals, in essence, why can't you be more like
You're like
Hitler's
Hitler's
generals?
generals.
Anderson?
That's the third time she said that.
This is a serious, serious issue. And we know who he is. He admires dictators, sending love letters
She's
back
saying it
and forth
again.
with Kim Jong-un.
She said love letters. That
Talks
was
about
funny.
the president of Russia, and then most recently, the reports are that in the height of COVID, when most Americans could not get their hands on a COVID test, Americans were dying by the hundreds a day. He secretly sent COVID tests to the president of Russia for his personal use.
Yeah, because you know those COVID tests was curing a lot of people. Just saying. Those COVID tests had a lot of cures. I tell you. Yep. Yep. Here's my thing. If it's so important to keep saying that this dude is a dictator, was a dictator, is going to be a dictator, whatever the case may be, then at what point do we actually hear from what the fuck she actually has to say? Because she keeps saying the same thing. And yes, he says, are these people planted? Because I know that they're actually sitting down feeling like their question was answered. Exactly. And here's my thing. We all know it's CNN. We all know who CNN is representing for. I get it. Goddamn. Come on. I swear I get one of these every show. But we all know who it is. And we all know that they handpicked these questions. I'm pretty sure they handpicked the people. And I'm quite sure that, yes, these people were told, ask your question and sit down and shut up. Fine. Because not one of them said, well, you really didn't answer my question. But we shall see so far.
So again, this election in 13 days is presenting the American people with a very significant decision. And on the one side, on this issue of who is going to model what it means to use the bully pulpit of the President of the United States in a manner that in tone, word, and deed is about lifting up our discourse, fighting against hate, as opposed to fanning the flames of hate, which Donald Trump does consistently. I'm going to tell you, we are an incredible country, and we love our country. Y'all wouldn't be here unless we love our country.
Or unless we paid you. But that's beside the point.
And there are certain things where we've just got to come together and realize that we do believe in the importance of healthy debate on real issues, but there are certain standards we've got to have. And, you know, another point that even John Kelly talked about, I believe, and many have, is
Ooh.
January 6th, where you have the President of the United States defying the will of the people in a free and fair election and unleashing a violent mob who attacked the United States Capitol. 140 law enforcement officers were attacked. Some were killed.
That's not true. Not a single person was killed except for one. Her name was Ashley Babbitt. Not a single person was killed except for Ashley Babbitt. And my question is this: how do you have an insurrection or a coup without a fucking gun? Without a fucking military? There was no army or anything. How many coups have occurred in the history of the world without any weapons? It doesn't happen. But she just lied right there. Not a single officer was killed. Some officers died from heart attacks and shit like that after the fact, but none of them were killed.
And so I say that to say the American people deserve to have a president who encourages healthy debate, works across the aisle, not afraid of good ideas wherever they come from, but also maintains certain standards about how we think about the role and the responsibility, and certainly not comparing oneself in a clearly admiring way to Hitler.
She did it again. Damn.
And we are back with Vice President Kamala Harris. I want you to meet Rob McPherson. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for a local organization. He's ready.
So yeah, she totally didn't answer that anti-Semitism question. She totally didn't do that. So that's 3 questions she didn't answer? 3.
Registered Republican from Media, Pennsylvania, who told us he's leaning towards voting for you, but has concerns about what he calls shifts in your policy positions. Rob?
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Vice President Harris. So welcome to Delco.
Thank you.
Here in Delco, we pride ourselves on being authentic.
Yeah.
And much of what we have seen much of what you've been saying with regard to issues like law and order and fracking reflect a more centrist view than what people are used to hearing from Kamala Harris, leaving some voters to wonder about the authenticity of your current, more moderate positions. Can you talk a little bit about how your positions have shifted and why?
Sure, and thank you. So first of all, on fracking, I've been very clear. We kind of dispensed with this in 2020. I am not going to ban fracking. I did not as vice president. In fact, as vice president, I cast the tie-breaking vote that now has opened up more fracking leases. My value on the issue of what we need to do to invest in a clean energy economy and a clean energy future has not changed. But frankly, I now have the experience and perspective of having been vice president for almost 4 years. I've traveled the country.
And here's the thing. We actually have live video footage of her saying, yes, I would sign a bill to ban fracking. She said it just that simple and plain. In the context of saying, if there's a no fracking ban passed, would you sign? Bill that comes across your desk, would you sign it? She says, yes. If a no fracking bill came to my desk, I would sign it. That's exactly what she said. So now she's saying she's changed. Fine. But that's what she said.
I know that we can invest in a clean energy economy and still not ban fracking and still work toward what we need to do to create more jobs and create U.S.-based jobs in a way that will be globally competitive. On the issue of law and order, as you mentioned, I think there's just a whole lot of misinformation, to be honest with you. I have personally prosecuted very serious crime. It's how I started my career. I spent most of my career as a prosecutor, not in Washington, D.C. And as my first priority had and remains as a first priority to me, the safety of the American people. So that has not changed. And sadly, I think that there's a bit of misinformation, if not more than a bit. But I'm glad that you raised the subject so that I can address it. But just if
Now watch her go off into some bullshit. But she's mentioned one. Though I prosecuted cartels and all that. There she goes. But watch what she does now.
if you don't mind, just let me just finish. Because I think the spirit of your question is really important, and I'm glad you raised it. Our country deserves to have a president of the United States who is not afraid of good ideas and does not stand on pride. If a perspective needs to be informed by different points of view to build.
What does that mean? If a perspective needs to be informed, can someone please explain that to me? I don't know what those words together, what that means. If a perspective needs to be informed, what the fuck does that mean? Anybody, put it in the comments, put it in the chat. I don't care, but can someone please explain to me what it means when someone says, if a perspective needs to be informed? I have no clue. If a perspective needs to be informed, what the fuck does that mean?
Consensus and to have a common sense approach. I'm never going to shy away from good ideas. And I'm not going to feel the need to have pride associate with the position that I've taken when the important thing is to build consensus to fix problems. I believe in fixing problems. I love fixing problems. And so I pledge to you to be a president who not only works for all Americans, but works on getting stuff done. And that means compromise. And it doesn't mean compromising your values or your principles, but it does mean working to get stuff done. And I pledge to you I will do that.
Just to be clear, though, what he's referring to, and you point out to when you were running for vice president in 2020, you were not talking about banning fracking, but...
No, Anderson, I pledged that I would not ban fracking.
Right, I know. You said you would not ban fracking.
Correct.
You know, you had said in the 2019 town hall, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. In 2017...
Yes, 2019, she says, no question, I am in favor of banning fracking. Okay.
About Medicare for all. You talked about 2019, you raised a hand in debate about if border crossings should be decriminalized. Are all of those issues?
Which they did. Just saying.
Issues, which those are not your positions now, are all those issues that you're saying through consensus and getting stuff done you have evolved on?
Well, no, let's take, for example, the issue of Medicare. My point has always been that access to health care should not just be a privilege of those who can afford it. It should be a right for all people. So that is why I have worked on doing what we have done to, one, allow Medicare to negotiate against the big pharmaceutical companies to bring down the cost of prescription medication. We've achieved that.
And you know what? It's not a thing of her voice being annoying. I think it's the words that she uses. She's literally, and this is the biggest problem, and I don't know how you can be behind someone who does this. She's literally not saying anything. She's hitting a motherfucker with the Oswald Bates. I wonder if y'all can, if my Oswald Bates, I didn't check that. God damn it. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear this. I don't think you can. Did y'all hear that? Y'all let me know if y'all can hear that or not. I don't know if you could. I hear nothing at the moment. Not playing. Damn it! I need to fix that. God dang it. Shit. I wonder if it's... Oh, I wonder. Oh. Who wrote the book of love? I wonder if that fixes it. Let me see if it plays it now.
The ambiguity that I feel never justifies itself.
Y'all let me know if y'all can hear anything.
Odor of life's
Anything.
that surreptitiously conflicts with the
Nothing.
instability hitherto.
He said, I hear something.
Who do we appreciate?
Is it very low?
Of Congress, excuse me, condoms, demystifying the squalor of profanity.
Might have to boost the vibe. I'll turn it all the way up.
Here, let me digress my bowels for a minute and back to the front. The
He said she sounded like Lois Griffin. She kind of do.
Miscommunication of fetal or fecal.
Damn, y'all don't hear my Oswald Bates. Oh, I gotta try to figure out why that's broke. Because that should work. Damn it. I wonder if y'all can still hear. Can y'all hear my boom howl? I wonder if y'all can. Did y'all hear that? The boom howl? I wonder why that's not working. I had to fix that. I don't know what I was supposed to test it to see, but it's something going on. I need to fix that. All right, but let's go ahead. Let's keep going. Nope, no boom howl either. Damn. I wonder if any of my fucking audio, my sound bites work. Let me see if y'all hear this one. Did y'all hear what to say now, Chuck? He said he could hear it, just turn it up. I turn it up. Doo 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 doo. All right, whatever. I ain't gonna get lost into the weeds. Let me get back on.
In terms of capping the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, capping the cost of annual prescriptions at $2,000 a year for seniors. But my plan moving forward, based on that very principle that I've always had, is as president, to have that cap be for everyone and not just for our seniors. The work that I have done that has been about recognizing the importance of dealing with border security, that has never changed. As I said, I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations.
There it is.
I did for years before I ever ran in 2019.
I mean, you did raise your hand saying in a debate when asked if border crossing should be decriminalized, but obviously that is not your position.
I never intended, nor will I ever allow America to have a border that is not secure. I believe we need to deal with illegal immigration.
Now, mind you, this is the same person who fucked up the border and then didn't do shit about it for 3.5 years. I'm talking day one. They got rid of all of the border shit that was in place. They took all that shit away and said, we're going to take all this shit away and break this motherfucker. Then we're going to try to fix it over the next 3.5 years. And I promise you this bitch is going to bring up the bill that Donald Trump, he killed it. I bet you she bring that shit up.
There needs to be consequences, which is why part of my plan that I have outlined, and again, please go to kamalaharris.com. Sorry to throw a website on you, but why not? And you will see that part of my plan includes what we need to do to actually do more as it relates to putting resources in, including increasing penalties for illegal crossings.
And just finally on fracking, you said you're clear you would not ban it as president.
No, I would not ban it as president.
Right, I know you're clear on that. Do you think it is bad for the environment, though?
I think that we have proven that we can invest in a clean energy economy. We can mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. We can work on and sustaining what we need to do to protect this beautiful earth of ours and not ban fracking.
Time is short, so I want to get some more voters in. Tanisha Spall from Lansdowne, Pennsylvania. She works as an education administration manager for the Pennsylvania.
I must admit, I'm surprised she didn't say nothing about that bill that Donald Trump killed. He killed it.
Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. Registered Democrat who says she's leaning towards supporting you, has yet to make her final decision. Tanisha, welcome.
Thank you, Anderson. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for joining us this evening.
Of course.
I appreciate that you did acknowledge that we are a country that is faced with problems and issues. With the
this is so funny how they have these little certain people have the little preamble. I appreciate you saying it's definitely planned, but I get it. It's your network and you guys are with the shit, so it's cool.
Supreme Court being plagued with issues. Would you be in favor of expanding the court to say 12 so each justice has only one circuit court other than Chief Justice to assist in making judgments more balanced?
Well, to your point, there is no question that the American people increasingly are losing confidence in the Supreme Court. And in large part because of the behavior of certain members of that court and because of certain rulings, including the Dobbs decision and taking away a precedent that had been in place for 50 years, protecting a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. So I do believe that there should be some kind of reform of the court, and we can study what that actually looks like. But I do believe. But again, let's just, while you raise the point of the court, understand that, again, in 13 days, the American people will decide who is the next president of the United States. In 13 days, you will decide who is sitting in the Oval Office on January 20th. And on one hand, you have in Donald Trump someone who has increasingly proved himself to be unstable, and who, as we have established and the people close to him have established, he is unfit to serve. Somebody who on January 20th, you can be sure, will spend full time, like we know, and we've seen the image mentally of him sitting in the dining room off of the Oval Office, watching for hours as people violently attack the Capitol. You can be sure, because he has said he would weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies.
Wait a minute. He would weaponize the Department of Justice? Oh, you mean like y'all did? Oh, okay. I got you. So y'all basically saying he would do what you guys did because he was your political opponent. I got it. That's what you're saying. Okay. I guess because you've seen that before. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, right. Yep.
You can look at a Donald Trump in the White House after January 20th, sitting in that Oval Office, plotting his revenge. He has talked about the enemies within.
Why would he have to plot revenge on who? This is the point that I make about this. It's like they keep saying this revenge thing. Who would there need to be revenge on? Who would you have to get revenge on? Who would Donald Trump need to have revenge on? What can he do against these people that have done nothing? Unless you did do something and your ass broke the law. Just think about that. Why would somebody be concerned about revenge? Why would you be concerned about revenge unless you did something against someone and what? You don't respect them? You don't expect them to do anything about it? Also, you can just come and take my money. You can just come and sue me, make up a bunch of false allegations, impeach me twice and do all that. And then when I get in office with all of the shit you did to me, which was illegal, interfering with the election and everything, I shouldn't say anything about that. I should just let that be what it is. That is definitely the mind of a Democrat person. I do whatever I want. You do nothing about it. Same people who talked about, he has 31 felonies, he should be in jail. Oh, so the fact that y'all weaponize the government to go against your political opponent, should nothing happen about that? Just saying.
We haven't even raised that subject, Anderson. The enemies within. He's talking about the American people. He's talking about journalists, judges, nonpartisan election officials.
How can you go after a journalist? How can you go after a judge? Well, you can go after a judge if the judge broke the law. Oh. You can definitely do that. So what judge broke the law? And if a judge did break the law, should you not go after that judge? The same person who actually judges people who do break the law, when they break the law, you shouldn't go after them? Oh, okay. I see how this works.
He has talked about, as John Kelly has talked about, can he send the military after peaceful protesters? And he's going to sit there unstable, unhinged, plotting his revenge, plotting his retribution, creating an enemies list. I'm going to tell you, my list will be a list of how I address and continue to address the issues that you all are raising this afternoon and evening. It will be a to-do list about how we can impact the American people and lift up the American people and address some of the challenges that we continue to face. So,
Vice President Kamala Harris, thank you very much.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Anderson.
And thanks for watching. Thanks to all the voters here. Be sure to join CNN on November 5th for election night in America right here on CNN. Jake Tapper and Aaron Burnett. Pick it up.
Yep. So I guess I don't understand. Like, if this was your chance to sway these voters, which I think these were softball fucking questions, and here's what it is. But in my opinion, there's a fear amongst the Democratic Party, the DNC, and Republicans, all of the people that played a part and literally broke the law to try to take down Donald Trump. Because if you had something on him and you got him red-handed, it is what it is. But the fact that people lied, they cheated, they had fucking bullshit meetings and weaponized the fucking government. They did weaponize our Justice Department against this dude. Yes, you broke the law. And yes, you should be held accountable. It's you know what this is? It's like the Democrats have this thing to where they want to spend the taxpayers' money. They want to waste the government resources. They want to do whatever they want for what they personally believe is going to enrich them or make them feel good or put them on a pedestal. They want to do all of those things, and they want literally no accountability for it. Let me do what the fuck I want to do with the funds and the resources that y'all give me and stay out of my way. That's what they want to do. And anybody or anything that comes up against that, they are literally terrified of it. Wait, you mean to tell me all that money I recklessly spent, somebody's going to actually ask me about it? Oh, why would you want to do that? You mean to tell me we can't do the reckless shit I did? Oh, me having a meeting with Fani Willis and having her go after this president so that he couldn't run? You mean to tell me that's illegal? That's election interference? But I did it. And the fact that I did it, I shouldn't be held accountable for it? Right? I shouldn't. That's exactly what they want to do. And I think that is so problematic that we've gotten that corrupt to where that is how it goes, if you will. Right. Jerry Benson said, remember what Democrats said, what do you have to hide if you are against an investigation? It's the same thing we would say as the police. Hey, man, if you didn't do nothing wrong, you ain't got nothing to hide. Why would you not talk to us? Tell us your side of the story. If you did nothing wrong, you'll be fine. But if you did do something wrong, then now's the time to try to speak up and save yourself. because somebody's going to go down for this. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and how hard. Hey, man, right now, what you're dealing with and what you're playing for is not if you get out of here, because you caught. What you're playing for now is how long are you going to have to sit down? Because we got you. Now, if you want to help yourself, you tell us all everything that happened. Tell us your part. Tell us the parts that people played. And then that will go to your benefit when it comes time to talk to the DA and when it comes time for sentencing. But we got you, bro. Ma'am, we got you. We got the evidence. We have the witness. We got it all. We got the footage, whatever it takes. We got it already. This is your chance to help you soften the blow of this time you about to get hit with. You trying to do a few months? Or you trying to do a few years? It's all up to you now. That's how that conversation goes. When you know you got somebody and you did wrong and you broke that law, that's what it comes down to. It's not a thing about if, it's a matter of when. All the toothpaste is out the tube. Your ass is already grass. You're just about to decide is how much of your grass ass gets cut. We're going to cut you at 3 3/4 of an inch. We're going to cut your ass down with 1.5 inches. That's what it is. And all those motherfuckers over there, the rich fucking billionaires that been fucking around with Diddy and Epstein, from them all the way down to the motherfuckers at the Justice Department that was illegally fucking with the election, FBI, CIA, DOJ. How involved were you all? Exactly. Steve said, do politicians ever get held to account? And no. And the reason why is because it's too many of them, number one. The agency and the spending is too fucking big. If you shrink the government, you can have a lot more control and a lot more accountability. When you got 400 people spending money, it's a lot different when you cut that 400 down to 40. I can watch what 40 motherfuckers do as opposed to 400. That's the difference. Exactly. And the reason why they get to fade off into the sunset with no accountability is because they're all covering for each other's ass. They got the whole idea of if I go down, you go down. That's why you have Republicans coming over to her side. That's why you have generals coming over to her side. That's why you have all these other fucking politicians coming over to her side, because they're all in this shit together. They're all of their hands are fucking not dirty. They're all filthy. And they don't want to be exposed. People who've done dark shit hate and are afraid of the light, because the light exposes all. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. They all hate to be exposed. And that's why they are fucking running like fucking cockroaches in a kitchen in the ghetto at 2 o'clock in the morning when the lights come on. They're scattering over to her side. They're paying their money. They're using their these same thing with these goddamn celebrities. They're using their celebrity status. They're using everything they have to speak out against this dude, to try to get the light from shining on them. That's all this comes down to now. And my thing is this, and this is why I believe that Donald Trump is going to win. You all have been fucking over and fucking with the people for far too long. You all have made us suffer and pay and have to fund shit that we should have never been a part of. You all have fucked with our funds, our finances, our financial freedoms, and our freedom itself beyond measure. And we're tired of it. You all have went too far. Like they said in Tropic Thunder, y'all went full retard. Even when you didn't have to, you did it. And now the tide has turned, the tables have turned, and the tide has shifted, and you all need to be done, over and done with. I hope that this video helps somebody become a better version of themselves. I hope this video really makes somebody think about their vote. And just be, and I'm not trying to convince you to say Trump is the best thing ever and he's the new Jesus. I'm not trying to tell you that. What I am trying to tell you, though, is Trump is the best thing we have to us everyday Americans, not the celebrities, not the elected officials, but for us everyday Americans to have a better life. Because I can promise you this. 4 years ago, back in 2016, I had a better life financially, freedom-wise. I did. And that's what I want back. That's what I want back. That's all this. You can talk about they lie. Yes, politicians lie. You can talk about how they stretch the truth. Yep, they do. You can talk about how the thing they say is just crazy. It sound crazy. You're talking crazy. They both have. You talking about the shit he talked about with them fucking dogs and cats. They're eating the dogs and cats. Even if it's true, if there was no way for you to substantiate and prove it, should have never said it. It makes you sound stupid. Just like a bitch who starts out every sentence with, well, you know, I come from a middle-class family. It makes you sound stupid when that's all you have to offer. If you're so good, and this is for the people who are voting Kamala. If she's so fucking awesome, why does she spend more than half her time? 70% of her conversation is about the man she says she's better than. Who in the fuck does that? Just ask yourself that. Who does that? I put this on a social media post the other day. I said, you know, when people talk about Michael Jordan being the GOAT, when that conversation comes about, nobody, and I mean nobody, who thinks that Michael Jordan is the GOAT starts that conversation off with how bad of a player LeBron James or Kobe Bryant is. I've never heard it. Why is Michael Jordan the GOAT? Well, you know, LeBron lost 3 times, and LeBron is not been someone who can step up in the fourth quarter. Nobody starts that conversation off like that. First thing out their mouth is 2 3-peats, motherfucker. 72-10 with a ring, motherfucker. Never had a game 7, motherfucker. Has been MVP, finals MVP, and defensive all-team. Motherfucker. The most dominant player of his generation, of his time. Motherfucker. Nobody ever in Mike's run in them 2 3-peats gave it to Mike. Nobody is notorious for being a person, yeah, Mike could never beat that nigga. Nope. Because there's so much that he's done and so much that he accomplished There's no need to talk about what LeBron ain't did as to why Michael Jordan is the GOAT. There's no reason to talk about, well, LeBron, he did this and he did that. Nobody says that. Because if you look at Mike's resume by himself, there's nobody that does or has done what he did. His level of dominance, he was the most dominant fucking player in his fucking generation, period. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson said it. New sheriff in town. Yeah, you right. You can't win the GOAT of being the better anything talking about your opponent more than you talk about yourself and what you do and how good you are. Just saying. So, that being said, I want to thank everybody. I appreciate you all for stopping by tonight. Please click that like button, click the share button, and leave a comment in the comment section. If you like, I appreciate you guys. Until next time, peace, and I'm out. Love y'all.